What's up, everybody? It's going to be episode 6 of the Empire Podcast today, and we have some very, very special guests. Everybody knows Rose over here, but now we have Haley James. So go ahead and introduce yourself, kind of let people know what you do, who you are.
I'm Haley James, branch manager of Directions Home Loan Shirts. 24-year veteran, United States Air Force. Started my real estate career as a realtor, and then realized that lending was where I needed to be. And now I'm the branch manager.
So was it always kind of your dream to go to lending, or no?
No.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Well, what was your path going from military, real estate, and then to lending?
So I got my master's degree in January of 2017. And I had been going to school forever. And so I was bored, and I was sitting on the couch one night, and I'm like, maybe I'll get my real estate license. So I started doing real estate part-time, started making a lot of money, and decided that I was making more money as a realtor than I was active duty. So I didn't know what I was doing with myself. And so I was like, well, forget this. So I hit the button to retire and then did real estate full-time in 2019. The lender that I used got out of the lending business and became more of a management business. And I didn't trust anybody else with my clients. So I decided that I deserve a level of communication. And I knew that I could give that to realtors, so then I became a lender.
And then now your husband is doing real estate.
He took over my real estate
Right.
business.
So then what was because for people you did 24 years in the military, so people doing that, was it a military family, or was it just kind of something you wanted to do, or?
So I actually was in an abusive relationship, and the only way to get out of it, I knew, was I had to leave. And what better way to leave than the military, because you can't back out.
Right. And
Well, you could have, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So I actually gave the guy a shout out at my retirement ceremony, because without him being an ass, I would have never joined the military, and I probably would still be on the same bar stool back home, about 600 pounds, and not do anything with my life, because I was a bartender at the time. So-
Gotcha.
So bartender to military,
Mhm.
to realtor, to
To
branch
lender.
manager.
Mhm.
Wow.
Dang, that's crazy. That's a huge turnaround.
Yeah.
And then back home, is that, I want to say, you said South Carolina?
No, upstate New York.
Oh, yes,
That's
okay,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Upstate.
Yeah. So.
Hence the personality.
And then the military just brought you to Texas? Or?
Yes, yep, my husband and I got orders joint to, I went to Lackland and he went to Randolph.
Okay.
And then I left Lackland and I ran a recruiting squadron up in Arlington, Texas. And then got orders back to Randolph and he went to Lackland. And then I retired out of Randolph and he retired out of Lackland.
Dang.
Yep.
So y'all retired at the same time?
He retired in May of 18 and I retired in March of 19.
Okay. And was that to go do your real estate stuff, to take over your business?
Yeah, well, he wanted to retire. Like, that's all he wanted to do was retire.
He just wanted to relax.
And then I got too busy as an agent, because a part-time agent, I had a real full-time job in the military.
Right.
And so then I'd have to take leave for closings or showing houses. I just wasn't available like I need to be, and so I begged him for months, hey, just get your license, get your license. He's like, no, I want to be retired. And then,
And you got his license.
yeah, so he got his license in that December. He did the Scobridge program, which is what I participated in too. So we did an internship with Simmons Real Estate and got his license, started doing good. And then my first year as a lender, I still had my real estate license, but I was doing listings. And he was doing the buyers, because obviously you can't be great at two things.
Right.
And so after all the listings I did, the last deal I closed was in November 2020 as a realtor, and then I just went inactive.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
you just kind of let it just sit there?
Yeah.
Just in case you ever go back to it?
Yeah, I was thinking about getting my broker's license, but I don't want to do that right now.
You got enough with this one, right?
I'm trying to keep her. Any way I can. Like, she keeps talking about retirement. Y'all got us your house. It's stunning. So I can see why she wants to leave, but like, no, I'm trying to keep her. I'm trying to keep her.
When are you planning on retiring then?
Well, I was going to retire next December, but with the cost of building houses, it's very expensive. And so I'll keep going until we're finally like, this is enough. I'm having fun right now.
Right.
So
I feel like that's what it's about.
everything is slowing down a lot,
Mhm.
but I'm fortunate enough that I have pension and disability, that this isn't what feeds me. I
Right.
work because I want to. And I think that that's a benefit of having me around, because I'm not competing with her for clients.
Right.
If I bring in a realtor and they'd rather use Rose, I'm not like, oh no, they're my agent. I let her have them because she has more legs in the game than I do.
Mhm.
And whatever happens, you always got a training replacement. That's what the military taught me, is that it can't just be one person. Because what happens if something has to have one person?
Exactly.
You have to train your replacement. So I'm just training little Haley. It's just that she's a lot friendlier.
I wouldn't say that. You're
And
pretty
a little
friendly.
darker. A little darker.
But other than that,
Well, that's kind of something we talked about a few days ago was the person in charge has to be able to say, okay, to the people that they're training or their team, okay, look, you have this, even though I don't have anything, you take this. And for a lot of people,
It's really hard.
really hard for people to do that. So,
Well, I think it has a lot to do with her recruiting.
Mhm.
I mean, you want to talk about it?
so last 13 years of my Air Force career, I was a recruiter.
mhm,
And so I'm adamant I won't pay for leads for an agent.
right.
But I will go out and show them how to recruit leads,
Mhm.
how to, fish, how to do anything you need to do. The ponds that you fish in are indicative of what kind of clients you get.
Right, exactly.
So if you're complaining about the clientele that you're getting, but you're always fishing in one certain pond, that's your fault.
Mhm.
But a lot of times I find that people don't have the hand holding or the, hey, let's go out and do this together. They basically are like, here, this is what you should be doing, and then they like think that the agent will do it. Just like we just had a Popeye class. We bought all the Popeye materials, we made little baby kits for them. All they do is sit there and fill them up and put their business cards on it. And I gave the winner of the Popeye class $500 gift card to HEB.
Dang.
So, but it made these people get out and meet 10 new people.
Mhm.
Now, they may not get a lead, or they may, but it got them outside their comfort zone, because the hardest thing for new agents is to give out business cards and new
Right.
realtor, or new
So the
lenders.
competition was they had to give out
10 Popeyes and take a selfie and tag my Facebook page in order for it to count.
Mhm.
And so they all, well, four of them actually did it.
Wow.
So, but again, it's sad that I have to do that. They should be challenged by, other people to do that. But again, if they don't know how, or they just don't know, and that's a lot of things we deal with all the time. That's why it benefits using us, because I was an agent. So I understand the struggles of being an agent. And
Right.
she's trained fully on contracts. So if we see an issue, we call the agent, we're like, hey, look, this has got to be fixed, instead of trying to wait and find out and all that other stuff. So we usually can see problems go down. We're always, hey, we need this, hey, we need that.
Mhm.
Had we not been fully trained in contracts, we would never know. We would always be reactive, but we're very proactive at our branch trying to get stuff, because again, we guarantee a 21-day close.
Right.
So you have to be proactive.
Yeah. Well, in this business, I feel like you have to be proactive no matter what.
Mhm.
And I think the people who are reactive are the ones who fail a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But people they really don't understand that.
Right,
So-
and people feel like, oh, I don't want to bother. No, you're not
Mhm.
bothering. Everybody has a job to do, and somebody may need that nudge to be like, oh, you're right, I'm sorry, I dropped the ball, or whatever.
Mhm.
But if you don't have that nudge, because at the end of the day, regardless of who it is in the industry, that family needs a home.
Right.
And regardless of what we have to do to get there, I won't ever let anybody be homeless.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I used to be a personal trainer actually, so I relate a lot of this real estate and loan stuff to being a personal trainer. So whenever I first got into the game, no one really taught me anything. I just got my certification. They're like, okay, train people, and I was like, how do I do that? They were like, well, you got your certification, right? I was like, yeah, but I don't really know how to. So it made me feel like I couldn't ask for help because I should already know.
Mhm.
When I'm fresh in the game, 1 month with my certification, like I don't know what I'm doing. So they took me through like a 15-day training period, and they're like, okay, yeah, go train, you're good now. Excuse me. And everyone had their own clients, so I don't really have time for me.
Mhm.
So that's why here I really like that everyone's very helpful, because it helps me a lot.
Right.
Because I know I'm not going to know everything,
Yep.
so I can go to the people who know a lot more than I do.
right.
Well, that's very valid, because I thought when I went to the class to, kind of do the course for my loan officer, and then I take the test, like, I was just gonna know everything. And I'm like, all I know is how to stay out of jail, kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's all I really know. That's all.
yeah.
I just know what I'm gonna pay in a fine and how many years I'm gonna go to jail if I do this wrong. That's all I know. So, yeah, you're absolutely correct. I knew I needed a mentor, and I always tell everybody, like, I really prayed for Haley, because I could not imagine going into this and not having her, because mentorship, even though she's not gonna walk me by hand, she'll tell me what to do, but she's like, you gotta take it, you gotta figure it out, because one day I'm not gonna be here. And a lot of people can't handle that. They need that hand holding, that accountability. I'm not saying that she doesn't hold me accountable, but she sets me up for success, and then she's like, have you done your monthly calendar? And I'm like, maybe. But yeah, absolutely, you absolutely need a mentorship and a mentor, and you're correct.
I think there's a good happy medium. that I feel like a lot of people have to find,
Mhm.
but some people are just either hand-holding or nothing at all.
Mhm.
So I appreciate what you do, and so of course I don't know you that well, but just from what you said, I can appreciate the fact that you do that because I was in the position to where it was all just straight hands off. And I've
Yeah.
been in the position to where it's just straight hand-holding, and I feel like I don't learn anything.
Right.
Because like Rose said, what happens when you're not there anymore?
Right.
Then she's not gonna know what to do.
Well, we go to Champions and talk to new loan officer classes. And a lot of them don't do research before they actually go to the class. Like, they think that we work at like a USAA or Wells Fargo or something like that, where people are gonna call in and walk in. Our
Right.
job is sales, just like you guys. We sell realtors to use us, you guys sell the clients to use you. So we find that a lot of these places, I just hired a kid who's gonna start next week. He interviewed with another company before me, and they guaranteed him 4 days of training, and then he had to work from home.
Mm.
Well, if you don't, my training program is actually on paper and it's 6 months long,
Mhm.
because I don't want you to be a liability where I get sued.
Yeah.
But I also want you to feel confident that on a weekend, if you can't get a hold of me, you're not like, I can't help this realtor, I can't help this realtor, because one time you do that to an agent's not gonna use you anymore. Just because there's so many lenders you can pick from, and everybody's got a new shiny toy. So, but I couldn't believe that they guaranteed the kid 4 days of training. I'm like, 4 days?
That's
I've got 6 months. Like, what are you doing in 4 days? Now you know your passwords? Like, I don't. So, yeah, it was very interesting.
I can imagine. I remember on my day 4, you told me, you gave me a list of people and you said, hey, call them and remind them about the homestead exemption. And I hid in the other room because I was so nervous I didn't want to hear my calls. So I couldn't imagine 4 days of training and then just like, bye. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did like what you said about the whole lead thing, because I remember we talked, 2 weeks ago, and I heard that somebody's like, oh, well, just ask your lender for leads. Like, they'll send them to you. And then I told you, I was, dude, if I said that to Haley, she'd walk me out the office and she'd log me behind me. Like, she wouldn't even do that. What the heck?
anyway, when's the last time you showed up at our class? Come to our classes.
Yeah, so I like that you said you don't like to do that because you like to train people up to actually get uncomfortable and
Yeah.
be in those positions to where they can get the good solid leads. Because I also feel in this industry, a lot of it's not quality.
No,
A lot of people just want quantity, and they're just like, well, out of 1,000, I'll probably get 2 or 3.
right,
Whereas for me, I'm like, well, out of 10, I can get 2 or 3.
right. And that's a lot of phone power. You gotta dial a lot of numbers to get those.
Mhm.
And I'm not about wasting people's time, because time is the only thing you can't get back.
Right, exactly.
So why would I mean, it makes agents feel good when their lender's like, I'll pay for Zillow, I'll do Boomtown, I'll do Ups, whatever you need. But that's an investment of money,
Mhm.
truly not success. So if I can show you how to refine, and are you handing out 10 business cards a day? It's old school, it works. All these new gimmicks, like the Popple and all this other stuff. If you hand out a business card, yesterday when I was going to buy that gift card at HEB, I talked to the cashier. I was like, can I put $500 on that? I've never bought a $500 HEB gift card before. She's like, absolutely. I said, okay, cool. She's like, $500, huh? I'm like, yeah, so I'm actually a branch manager at a mortgage company, blah, blah,
Yeah, the
blah.
conversation.
And she's like, oh my gosh, HEB takes good care of us. I say, hey, if you know anybody here, here's my business card. I'd be more than happy to help any friends, family that you may have. You never direct sell, you always sell sideways, because then they don't feel, they're more apt to
Pressure.
take your card.
Yeah, they
Instead of
don't-
like, I already have a home. So, but that was simple. I always find a way to introduce being a lender in every conversation. And when I have these classes, we hold classes weekly for agents. Not on just CE topics, but just gee whiz, like 9 November, we're doing a buyer's rep class. I can do it because I was a realtor. So I talk about an effective buyer's representation. People are scared to have the client sign the buyer's rep because it says in the contract in bold that if the seller won't pay the broker, then the client has to. Well, there's certain loans you can't do that. So just educating, I think, would help more people. But that's why we bring value. That's why I want to pay for leads, because I give you more value than just throwing $700 a month at you. Could I do it? Yeah. But if I stop doing it, are you going to be able to feed your family?
Yeah.
So that's my thing. I always think
That's a good way to
long
put it.
term.
Because I actually saw a quote the other day that said, to be a real leader, you have to make more leaders.
Mhm.
So I feel like that's what you're doing
Yep.
really, because $700, the agent can pay $700,
Right.
they can do that, but you're teaching them how to fish.
Right.
Rather than giving them fish.
Yep.
So I feel like that's way more important too.
Yeah, because I really worry about that, like these people that will stop, so a lot of lenders are getting out of the business right now, a lot of agents are because of what it's like. And if they stop that $700 funnel, what's the agent gonna do if they've been only counting on these leads to call? If they sit in their house, you're never gonna be a successful realtor if you only sit in your house and make phone calls. It just won't happen. It's the meet and the face-to-face like you do at your open houses and all that stuff. Open houses, it's a lost art. But to meet the people and go out and doing events and all that other stuff, just the face-to-face and knowing that you're not the big scary salesman gets you a lot more
Yeah.
quality clientele.
And I feel like it gives you a lot more power as an agent or a lender too, to say, hey, I'm out here actually doing this.
Mhm.
Like I've talked to Anthony now. Anthony, when he goes to Rose and say, hey, he's a good guy, I've actually talked to him.
Mhm.
You know, so it gives us a lot more leverage and power. I feel like going out and meeting them in person. Or if you're at the mall eating in the food court and you see somebody there and y'all just get to talk and have a conversation, that's way stronger than me just calling them and saying like, hey, you know, can I list your house?
Mhm.
I saw your house expired. Would you want to list it again? Because
Right.
I'd like to do it. So it's a lot more powerful if you're sitting there with them, talking to them. I'm not trying to list your house. I saw it's expired. Maybe you could do this. And then if you want to use me, cool. You
Right,
know,
it's
if you
adding
don't-
value.
Yeah.
All you're doing is adding value to somebody without anything in return.
Mhm.
No, we're not saying we don't get like realtor leads because we absolutely do. So like she said, every time we're out, every single conversation we have, we're telling people what we do.
Mhm.
So we get clients ourselves that we give back to our realtors that
But we
are
don't pay for it.
quality. We're not,
Right.
but we absolutely work our butts off to give.
And they're already pre-approved. They're
Right.
pre-approved leads. They're not like, here, call this person. They clicked on my Facebook thing that they were interested, and then you figure it out. No, these are actually
Right.
pre-approved leads.
Yeah. Well, that's also kind of, I wouldn't say reciprocity either because it's not really reciprocity, but it comes back down to quality.
Yeah.
Because those are quality people, right? Like, it's not somebody, oh, like you said, oh, they clicked my link, they scanned it, whatever, they filled their information out, here you go.
Mhm.
Because then it's just a quantity game again, because it goes right back to quantity. You might not be paying for it, but, okay, 30 people just clicked on your link in the last hour, and then you're just going to send them to me.
Mhm.
And one
So
is
I know.
pre-approved. Then you don't even know until after you call the 30.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it also comes back down to, okay, I'm educating people as far as buyers and like sellers, and then you're coming back around to say, hey, you can also do this, this, and this, because we're from the lending side. Because for me, like I tell you guys all the time, anybody who asks me lending questions, hey, that's a Rose question. Don't even, I might know a little bit of the answer,
Mhm.
but I'm not gonna sit here and try to explain it to you, because I'm gonna say some wrong shit, and then I'm gonna be in trouble. So that's a Rose question.
Yep.
Like I always, I even say it to him because he'll ask me something. I'm like, no, that's a Rose question. Like, don't even ask me, dude.
That's actually what I did when I called you the other day. I called her the other day because my friend, he was asking me questions about buying a house. I was like, bro, you need to hold on.
Yeah, 'cause-
Hey, Rose, I have my friend here. He has questions for you. I don't know what to say.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you, Anthony.
Yeah.
And again, you're not bothering us because again, that alleviates a lot of miscommunication. Or she can,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. Like when people come up, hey, what's the difference between like a VA and a conventional? I can give you the basics. Hey, look, VA's for veterans, active duty. Conventional is just like a regular loan. Well, what about this? That's a Rose
Rose.
question. I'm like, don't even ask me. So then what is I know you're a branch manager now, and you saying you want to retire at some point, but what is the ultimate kind of thing for you? Is it just to be a branch manager and retire?
Yeah.
Or so you don't want to own like a huge
Oh,
umbrella? No. You're
No.
just going to train her, have her do it?
Yeah, I'm content, yeah.
So when did you become branch manager?
So I had 4 months' experience at Aligned, and they made me a branch manager. I opened up the Schertz branch in October of 2020. And then, well, no, that's actually August of 2020. We had our grand opening in October. And then I opened up the Directions branch in October of 2021.
So you were so you had the branch at Aligned
In Schertz.
in Shirts.
Mhm.
Oh, and then you had that for like almost a year, I guess.
Yes.
And then you just switched it to
Directions.
Directions?
Yep.
So what's the process for that like? Because I know for realtors, right, we have to hang our licenses, get the license, and then we have to go rehang it somewhere else. Is it the same
Same.
for
Mhm.
lenders?
Yeah.
Even as a branch manager?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So is that kind of similar to being like a broker? Like a real estate broker?
Ish, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a team that works underneath me.
And then you're kind of just overseeing everything else?
But I'm a producing branch manager, so I also do loans. There's some branch managers that you don't even have to be licensed. You can just be like the office manager.
Mm,
But
like
I-
do admin stuff,
Yep, but
basically.
and drive production and like do operations, stuff like that, but
Mm.
I do both.
So do you like production more?
Oh, yeah.
You like it a lot more?
That's a degree.
Yeah.
Good degree.
Performance improvement, my master's.
Mm.
So I'm all about efficiency.
Right,
See,
making it
yeah.
efficient.
Yeah, so that's my master's.
That's her master's degree.
Yeah,
I
and
see.
so that's why when somebody starts with me, I mean, I have process maps. I make it where virtually idiot-proof.
Right.
Just follow the checklist and you will be good.
No, it's really
Yeah.
a checklist. Like it's really an arrow. It's a box, arrow,
Yeah.
arrow. Okay. And then when I first started, she gave me a VA checklist because I'm not VA. I do them, but that's not my specialty. So it's literally 1, open Encompass. Got it.
Okay.
2, click on the name. Got it. It's really like the train program is really incredible. Like she gives you screens, she gives you this. I mean, we have email templates. We have
Everything.
yeah. All you gotta do is just
Read.
know how to
Read.
read and sales. Gotta know how to talk to people. Be intentional with your relationships.
So would you say that you're fine with giving people education and letting people see that before they come on with you? Or do you you hold a lot of it back and then you just say, hey, look, this is what I provide, this is what I give?
No, I give it away.
You don't worry about it?
Because I know they'll come to me.
Yeah.
I think the same way.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if they don't, then it's kind of their loss.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I'm providing you this for a reason, so if you use it, cool. If you don't, cool.
No,
But I
no,
know
no.
eventually.
Yeah, I'm at a point in my life where it's okay if you don't use it. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Mhm.
So that's why I think it's very important. Because I would never work as a realtor, I wouldn't work for a broker that I was competing with.
Mhm.
I just wouldn't do it. If they wanted their number on my signs, I'm like, okay, no. And then as a lender, I'm not competition for anybody. Because again, I have my core realtors that use me. I have 7 that use me all the time. They're gonna stay with me. Any new ones we pick up, if they prefer her better, okay, good. I mean,
Because you have yours.
and at the end of the day, whatever, I do have a P&L for my branch. So the branch will make money regardless of who they use. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter to me.
It always comes back to the branch
Mhm.
anyway.
Yeah.
So because I've always wondered this too, because obviously for realtors, we have to pay our broker too. So for any loan that she does or anyone on your team does it go back to you first and then to the branch? Or it doesn't?
No, her
So does-
check is her check.
So then does his name's Easton, right? That
Mhm.
owner? Does he ever touch like what you guys do in your branch, or is it like your branch is separate?
No, so I get paid a certain amount on my loans, but on top of that is what he takes just to have us.
Oh,
So he gets
gotcha.
a cut, but I get a certain amount per loan to my branch, and then out of that comes our commission,
Yeah.
our processor's salary, any loan partner salary, out of all that
Insurance.
extra.
Because then you have one processor.
Mhm.
And then you have Crystal.
Chris is my processor.
Oh, okay. So then who's the other one? Because I know there's another person there too.
Skillbridge.
Skillbridge, the Skillbridge interns.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so all the
'Cause-
military interns I have.
Yeah. Okay.
We pick up another one tomorrow, and he's actually licensed, so I'm making it where they have to take the class in the licensing, because a lot of times you have 6 months, 120 to 180 days to get some kind of training. But for our job, you need to be licensed.
Right.
And so a lot of people don't really look at other jobs. So if they can't pass the class and get licensed, because the test is a 42% pass rate. If they can't pass the test, then basically they're now civilians with no job. And I won't put
Right.
anybody in that position. So now they're all taking the class and the test prior to starting their internship. That way they're licensed. And, because you can only talk interest rates and loan programs if you're licensed. So
Right.
if you're not licensed, then you basically are like a secretary, and if the client asks a question to,
They can't answer.
they're like, hey, Haley or Rose will have to call you back. Well, what do you think that makes the client feel like? Well, you don't know what you're doing.
Mhm.
So we're taking care of all that, and now they'll all be licensed. We have a guy starting tomorrow. We have another, the new guy starting the 7th, that is a civilian loan officer. And then I have another Skillbridge intern starting December 5th.
Dang.
Yeah.
You got a lot of people coming.
Yeah, we'll probably have 5 loan officers by the second week in December.
Wow, that's good.
Mhm.
So it's growing pretty fast for you then.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first met you, you had her, and then you had, I want to say his name was Louise,
Yep, Luis.
and then
Yep.
you had another loan partner.
Yeah, Matt.
So you went from 4 to now, 8 months later, you're going to have at least 10, it sounds
Yeah.
like. At least.
Well, because the Skillbridge, you're not obligated to become, it's just to see if this is something that you want to do, and then you decide if you want to take the test or not.
Yep.
And then after that 180 days, they're like, oh, okay, I do want to do it, or I don't.
Yep. And then I give them an offer letter. Most of them want to do it because they see what good money we make.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because they're going to get their pension anyways. So,
From the military.
yeah. And so any disability, if they get a disability, so this is just cherry on the top, and then they see, because truly, your job and my job, income is unlimited.
That's true.
If you don't get paid, it's because you haven't worked. If you get paid a lot, you've hustled.
Yeah, you worked a lot.
So it's the only job where there's no cap on your salary, really, in a
Right.
sense.
Yeah, that's,
In a
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
So I have a question for you. It doesn't really relate to loans and everything, but so for your processes, how long did it take you, if you know, how to set all that up? Like how Rose was talking about the checklist for everything, literally how it's a box and an arrow. How long does that normally take you to set up to where you feel comfortable, like, okay, this is what they need to do, like, this is the 6-month plan, like, this is what we're doing?
So I kind of have an unfair advantage, because what I do on the daily is exactly what I did as an Air Force recruiter.
Mhm.
It's the same process, just different terms.
Mhm.
So I did it for 13 years before I ever did loans.
So you kind of fine tune everything already?
Yes. And so I already knew the process that we needed. It's just a lot of it for new loan officers is actually setting expectations and holding the client accountable. Because sometimes in the civilian community, accountability is not big. So if we tell them, hey, this is what we expect and this is why, if you explain the why to people, they're more apt to do it. They're like, oh, okay, because a lot of people are like, why would I give you my social security number? Well, I'm giving you $250,000. Like, I need that.
Yeah.
I need that. But again, it's just training them on basically providing worth to somebody and explaining the process thoroughly, because our job, just like yours, is to educate. We're educating, and oh, by the way, you get a house.
Yeah,
So,
as a bonus.
right,
Mhm.
yeah.
No, so really my question for you is, I don't know if he told you, but we have a moving company now. So I just wanted to ask and just see how long it took you to kind of fine tune that process. Because I don't know if it's a repetition thing, since that's what you did already.
Mhm.
And then over the years, you were like, okay, now this is just, I can do this in my sleep.
Mhm.
Or if it was kind of like you woke up like, maybe I should try this, or maybe I should fix this, or do something like that.
So stickies
Mhm.
on a wall.
Yes.
Like
So
sticky
every,
notes.
every process you do, just put stickies, and then you'll arrange them. But what I did for this new process map is that I asked her, because I had my process, but then I asked her, I said, hey, write down on this whiteboard your process, and let's see what you do. So there's a lot of extra steps in
I
there.
put 17, get scared. No, 16, received executed contract.
Yes.
17, panic. Because then now, because now you're under contract, now we got a 21-day close guarantee, so now it's go time.
It's
That's
go
it.
time.
Yeah, and so then I had her do it, because again, she doesn't have the 13 years, and I'm like, okay, let me make this rose proof and see what we can do. And so that's what I did, I took all her steps and then I combined them into different little pieces of the puzzle, and then that's how I did it. Because I know how to do it, I just wanted to see from somebody who doesn't have the experience, what do you think the process looks like?
Mhm.
And then just whittled it down to what it actually is, and with very key things, not wordy.
So do you tailor it by person, or is it, this is just general, this is what it is?
This is what you have to do to be here.
Because I feel like it helps having a different point of view too.
Mhm.
Because I know sometimes for me, I forget that people don't think like I do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think it does help having someone else like, okay, this is what I have, so like, what do you think?
That's the hardest part about being a leader, is trying to figure out why the hell they're not doing it. Like,
Yeah.
this is easy, why wouldn't you do this?
Yeah.
And again, you're just like, okay, hang on.
Yeah, sometimes I have to tell Haley, I don't think that way. Like, she's like, it's 2 o'clock, and I'm like, okay. So,
Yes.
it's 2 o'clock. I said have this by 2 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, no cooking. So again, obviously we're very strong and we get our work done, but yes, we think differently
I understand.
sometimes for sure.
Well, that's also a talent too, being able to kind of take somebody's point of view and then put it into something that you can work with, and then working around that. And I think that's why there's so little actual leaders right, in the world today, because it's hard to say, okay, Anthony does it this way, but I do it this way. Okay, well, let's find out what he needs to hit and what he can minus out of his process to get here.
Right.
Because this is where I want him. I don't want him over here. I want him here, and I want him to be successful. But the way he's doing it is not conducive to him being successful.
And the whole thing is I try to avoid chaos, because people need standardized practices. Regardless of the family and their story and their issues, the process to get a loan into processing is the same,
Right.
regardless of all this extra stuff. But sometimes we get confused with the extra stuff, and we're like, wait a minute here, let's regroup. So it's a standardized process. When I hire new people, this is the process, this is what you'll do.
Mhm.
You don't have to be gimmicky or just follow the process. Your personality will sell the person to use you. That's sales. That's not the process to get a loan into underwriting.
Right.
That process is standardized. You have to sell yourself with your quirks, are you friendly? Like, she's real friendly.
Charming personality.
Yeah. Mhm. She's real friendly on the phone, very friendly. So I remember when I was having her call agents, I'm like, Rose, you call. You sound better than me.
You know what, honestly was a good point that I kind of just thought about to myself, but what I kind of want to talk about too. So being like a year with Haley, right? So now
A year with Haley.
Now that I've been a year with Haley, this is me being completely honest. I couldn't imagine, like, she loves taking on new loan officers.
Mhm.
But for me, like, that's where she thrives. She wants the new versus other people want
More
experience.
seasoned.
And for me, I shortly had an assistant, and I sent them a file, and I'm like, what is this? And so, like, for somebody to constantly wanting to train new people who don't know nothing versus other people who like to take on more experience, that's hard to constantly train somebody from the ground up. To me, just because you are dealing with the constant, like, they don't know what they're doing, and then you get another one, they don't know what they're doing, then you get another one.
And it's just, it's just constant work.
Yeah.
I can understand that though, because then you don't have to deal with like already the preconceived notions and the bad habits of someone who's already experienced. These are my expectations,
Mhm.
and then they follow them to the T, and then they're successful,
Mhm.
and then they're the seasoned way that you like them, rather than
Yeah.
you have to break down the bad habits all the way, and you're basically training someone new anyway.
Right.
It would just take a little bit longer. I feel
Yeah.
like.
Well, it's experience.
Yeah.
Experience.
At my last job.
Yeah.
No.
We don't do that here.
No. But she'll tell you, I will let my loan officers fail.
Mhm.
Because I'll give you everything to be successful, but if you choose not to do it,
Yeah.
we're grown.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
on you. If you just follow what I tell you to do, you'll be very successful. But if you have to learn the hard way, I'll let you learn the hard way. I won't come in and save you because, again, they don't learn anything that way. And this is a very dog-eat-dog world, and people aren't loyal, and that drives me absolutely nuts coming from the military to this. That people aren't loyal.
Yes.
And I'm like, we do so much for you, and we don't get paid, just like realtors, we don't get paid until the thing closes.
Yeah.
But then we don't even get paid the day it closes, like we have to wait till our paycheck cycle. So the whole thing about, just shop lenders. Like I was telling you earlier, that'd be like me saying, hey, you need money towards closing costs. I know a realtor that gives half their commission.
That'll
Like,
give
you
it
don't
up.
do that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I get the whole helping the best interest of your client, but it's not always interest rate.
Right.
There's a lot that goes into it. A lot of times realtors don't understand the hand-holding that it takes and the constant phone calls and text messages, which we love to do, but then don't come in and try to save the day and lower the payment by $50. Like,
That's for my fee sheet.
there's-
Like, what?
yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, and just people don't understand, and until I say that, they're just like, oh, I didn't realize. Well, no, of course not, because, you're, whatever, it is what it is, but you guys get paid way more than we do, and we try to provide a great service.
Right.
And sometimes it's worth the service.
Well, and it's also, too, from a realtor's perspective, right? Yes, I write the contract. Yes, I spend time with the client. Yes, I do all of these other things that's more face-to-face stuff. You guys work all day, every day to make sure you have all the pieces together, that the puzzle is here.
Mhm.
Because for me, find the client at the house, yes, we make sure everything works. I write the contract, make sure you get the best deal. But at the end of the day, I'm not the one getting it all the way to closing. That's the lender.
Mhm.
So if your deal falls apart, well, it's probably not the realtor, it's probably the lender, if anything.
Yep.
In my opinion, being a real estate
No,
agent.
it is.
No,
It is, because you have to be, the realtor quarterbacks everything through. We're on the
Mhm.
agent for this, we're on title for this, we're on insurance for this. We're always trying to get everybody, a good lender, we're always trying to get them to the finish line, because if it
Right.
doesn't close, it could be title's fault, it could be the agent's fault, it could be homeowner's insurance, but it's always gonna be us. We'll always
Right.
take the blame. So that's why it's important that you have a solid lender that actually will quarterback and doesn't mind being the push. A lot of people don't want to be forceful. They're just like, I just fired an email off, I'm waiting. No, we don't wait. Like, we gotta
Gotta
go.
go,
And when I
yeah.
first became a lender, I did that. I waited. I'd be like, I emailed them, because I'm always told I'm so aggressive anyways, that I was trying to taper it back to be like, okay, let me not offend people, blah, blah, blah. And then the guy who I worked for prior to Directions, he's like, fam, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I don't want to hurt people's feelings. He's like, forget that. You'll be fine. I was like, oh, say less. Okay.
For my last email.
Here we go. What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. So it almost like he gave me permission to be me, because I was so caught up in trying not to offend people or trying to push people because I didn't want them to get mad. And then I realized, well, I'm helping them because they may need the extra push. Maybe something's going on in their life and they're kind of not with it right now.
They're not all there.
And they're like, oh, thank you very much. You know, it's just,
You
it
just
is.
never know.
Right. And so as long as it's tactful, what are they going to say?
And it boils down, like I told him before, because he's coming into real estate, I'm like, look, when you're coming in, like you have to be a dog. Like you cannot just sit back and just send the contract, okay, well, I'm just waiting on the listing agent to respond. 9 times out of 10, they're not even going to fucking respond.
Mhm.
So you need to call them. Hey, I just sent you an offer. Hey, I'm writing an offer for you. Hey, did you get it? Okay, you got it? Cool. You're going to present it within 24 hours? Okay, cool, because I need an answer by tomorrow because we have 3 other houses
Mhm.
that my guy wants. You know, and then if you don't hear anything the next day, hey, I haven't heard anything from you. Like, what's the deal? Did you present? What's going on? And you have to be that way.
Well,
in
that's
this industry.
earning your commission.
Yeah, and you have to be
Because
that way.
anybody can fire off an email.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to have a license to do that.
Mhm.
So, no, and you should come to the buyer's rep class on the 9th, because that's what I'm talking about, because a lot of people don't know what it means by earning your 3%.
Mhm.
They don't
Yeah.
understand it. They're trained to, oh, I wrote a contract. Well, it's more than that. Now you've got
Yeah.
to quarterback your part of the pie, because if you don't, then everybody else, it's second and
It
third order
falls.
effects.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's not just about our buyer client or mutual client, it's about the seller. Because what if the seller is counting on this close to buy another house in another state, then you got that family, and then it just keeps, it's a triple, or, you know, a domino effect on them.
Or even like the deal we just closed recently, they already had another house. So they were trying to sell that one because they're trying to get off their books because they couldn't rent it.
Mhm.
So like we can't rent it, so we're just trying to sell it. You know, like we're just trying to get, because they were paying 2 mortgages. They were like, we're done paying 2 mortgages. Like this house over here is, I want to say it was like 3 something a month, and then this one over here was about the same. So like they had to get it off. 'Cause
Right.
They had had it for a year with
Right.
nothing,
Right.
just paying. So sometimes it's that situation too.
And a lot of times they'll do, you know, a lot of people are always looking for a deal,
Mhm.
so they'll do the list it, you know, that flat fee listing service that people like to do
Mhm.
for listing their house, but then you know, you've been on the other end of that.
Oh man.
Where you end up having to do everything and nobody appreciates it because they don't understand what you're going through.
Right.
Because then that's hell on the lender too, because we're like, why isn't this agent replying? But again, you pay $500, what do you expect for $500?
Right.
I get people are trying to save money, but, you know, there's a way around that. That's very, very painful
Yeah.
for everybody involved, to
Mhm.
include the clients.
Mhm. And it's tough on both clients because the sellers don't understand until it starts happening.
Yep.
You know, like for them, they didn't understand that they had to fill out all that stuff themselves.
Mhm.
And I really cannot send you any of this. I can tell you what you need, but I can't give it to you.
Right.
Because then I'm breaking the law. So, like, I just can't do it.
Mhm.
But here's what you need. So you need to call, ask your guy, whoever it is. You need to call them, ask them, find it on Google, something. Because I
Right.
just can't do it.
Right.
I can't. And it's really hard for a lot of sellers to take that because they don't think that up front.
No, they don't know, because
Yeah.
they're the shiny new toy. Oh, I can list my house for $500?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and then they don't know they have to do everything.
Yep.
Yeah, and you gotta go to Trick, you gotta find the forms, you gotta print them out, you gotta sign them. Then you have to send them to me, so I can send them to my client, because you can't send them to my client directly.
Mhm.
Right, so that's another step that you have to worry about. If we need something, I gotta call you.
Right.
Make sure you're on board, make sure you sign it, make sure you get the form, okay, now you can send it back. And it's just way more work than it really
Yeah.
should be.
That's too much.
Yep.
That's
It's
ridiculous.
tough, it's
Yeah.
tough. But I mean, sometimes you just gotta do that, you know?
Yeah.
But that's what I was telling them is when you first come in here, like you have to, like you just have to get shit done.
Mhm.
Like there is no sit back, chill. I think that's why a lot of realtors fail and why I think it's like 96% of realtors like drop out in the first 3 years or something, is because they just sit back and they think it's supposed to come to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to get out and work. You
Yeah,
have to
but a
go
lot
and
of
do
them
stuff.
became realtors in 2021 where you just breathe.
Yeah,
and you have a client.
Yeah, you get clients.
You know, right
yeah.
now, a lot of people are hurting because, again, they never learned how to prospect for business. You know,
Mhm.
they knew somebody, you want to buy a house and whatever, or they get on teams and they split their commission, whatever they do. So now is really sink or swim because of the interest rates and people not being able to afford
Mhm.
houses. Anybody who stays the course through now will be absolutely fine.
I was just about to say that. I feel like right now is a good time to get in, because if you deal with all this now, then later everything's just cake. It's a breeze.
And if they're not busy right now, they need to go to classes. They need to read a contract perhaps. I don't know how many classes I've had, I've asked the agents, how many of you read a contract, all 11 pages, and they're just like,
You know what's funny? The first class I went to, you asked that question, and I was like, fuck, actually, like once. So after that class, I don't read it every day, right? But I go back constantly, and then KW's really good about putting out new things for us to read. So I always go on Dotloop and pull them out and read them so I know exactly what the hell it says. Because I'm like, okay, it says new, but what does that mean to me?
Yep.
What is that going to help me with?
yeah.
You know, but it wasn't until after you said that I realized, oh fuck,
Yeah.
you're right. I've only read it once,
Yeah.
and that was for class, right? That was it.
Mhm.
After that, I hadn't read it,
Yeah.
so I was like, dang, I should probably go back and read that. She's
Yeah.
probably right.
Yeah, so I actually do a contracts class, not CE related, it's just real world contracts. And by the end of the class, everybody's read the contract, because I break down every paragraph. So
Yeah.
now you understand the contract, and they're like, oh, I was like,
Oh,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Because there's things in our area where we're at, in the Cibolo Creek Municipal Authority, that should be in the MLS, and it's never. And I'm like, okay, and not until, like, if they use so we do a lot of deals with Alamo Title Insurance with Lindsay Gleason.
Mhm.
She actually has these two forms that have to be signed. Basically, the buyer is accepting the fact that they may have to pay taxes sometime on water. Well, if it's never been introduced to them and now at closing it is, now they're like, wait a minute, I have an extra tax I have to pay?
Mhm.
Well, no, not now, but maybe in the future. Well, that probably would have been something to know when you put in the offer.
Mhm.
It never has been, but that doesn't mean it never will be. And so I trained a lot of agents on that do a lot of listings in the Schertz-Cibolo area, and the properties are in this area. And I showed them my old listings in MLS, where I said, look, I got this form, the CCMA form, and then the OP-C. You have to have these filled out for the statutory tax district, which is referenced in the 1 to 4. And they're just like, oh my God, show me another lender that does that. They don't, because they don't know.
Right.
But I had good brokers as an agent that primarily were in that area, and they made us do that in training. So I just remembered, but there's a lot of agents that don't know that, and you can't fault the agent because they just don't know. If you're not told, you're not gonna go look for something when you're just like, oh, you know what the hell that is.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's just different things.
Man, you taught me so much.
Yeah,
What's your
you.
class?
I'm like, I still feel new over here. And jeez, because I remember she trained me on contracts, and then after that, I took home a book that she had on all the ways to get out of a contract. So I'm like, okay, well, so I'm just reading it how to get out of a contract as a lender, and I'm like,
And then
I did it one day.
She would question me. She'd be like, hey, did you know?
yeah, I'm like,
Well, that's one thing, going back to your last point, I think one thing for me that's benefited me so far in real estate is that I come from a sales background. Because I've had sales jobs since I was 18, because I just like it.
And you're now, what, 22?
20, 25.
18.
Since I was 18. Oh, okay.
25. But I mean, coming straight out of high school to go to a sales job and then doing technically sales, I worked at Dillard's when I was 17, but people walk in there all the time, right? That's really easy. But actually going to a sales job at 18, selling cars, it kind of put in different perspective for me where I was like, oh fuck. Like I actually have to talk to people and like actually sell something to get money, but I realized very quickly that it would add up a lot faster than if I was just working an hourly job. So even just in my 7 years of actual true sales, it's helping me a lot in real estate because now I understand, okay, I actually have to go get the business. Like I have to go find people. Now I know how to find people and I know how to talk to people. I'm not scared to go door knock because I know when I was doing before, like I had to go do that stuff. So I already was uncomfortable with it before. So now I'm like, okay, cool, I can go door knock for an open house. No problem. Like even though open house is going on, like I'll go pull a neighbor out of the house. Hey, come see the house. Like come look at it. And I don't really mind it now. So I think that's somewhere that I'm benefiting. But then for somebody who's just coming into the game, right, with 2021 or even early 2022, is really hurting them now because they haven't done that. Because they went from working at Old Navy to getting a real estate license to now, like, oh, well, fuck, I haven't made any money in the past 6 months. Like, what am I going to do?
And that's gotta be hard. I can imagine. Like I always tell people when they're thinking about real estate or lending, I always tell them they need 6 months of savings. You gotta have 6 months of savings before you decide to jump over and be full-time, because you can't really be a loan officer part-time. you can't do that.
Right.
You have to be available. And when we go to classes, a lot of times they're like, I'd like to do this part-time. I'm like, no. No.
That was the first thing she told me when I interviewed with her.
Yeah, yeah, because it's important. It has to be full-time. You can't, even though I did real estate part-time, and you can do that if you have clients that are accommodating and they only want to see houses at night, or they come in on the weekends or anything like that, you can do that. But for us, we have to be available all the time when somebody has a question.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
how are you gonna explain it to your other job? Hang on, I'll have to call you, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
though, that quiet quitting that people are doing now.
Mhm.
So you have to always be full-time, but you can't, and everybody asked me why I didn't stay a Realtor as well, because Align let me in directions. Well, it was because you can't be great at two things. You just can't. You have to focus. And of course, I can't drive people around in a car to show houses when I'm sitting at my desk.
Yeah,
But
attention
doing the listings as well is a lot. It's an emotional thing for the clients, and you know, you're always not available. So I was like, yeah, nah, not all money's good money.
Right.
I mean, you could make a lot of money, but then you're not really giving anybody the benefit of all your time.
Mhm.
That's why we like to focus on clients. We answer, you know, she answers her phone all the time,
Yeah.
like all the
Yeah, she
time.
does.
No matter the time, the weekend, if she's at a football game with her boys, anything like that, she answers.
Shout out football.
But it's important, because people want to know, and we always do updates, every Thursday we do updates, because even if we don't have anything to say, the client knows that we're still thinking about them. And they
Right.
didn't fall off the back end. You know, very few lenders even do that right now, and for every deal you put in, every contract, we call a listing agent. I get told all the time when I call listing agents, you know, I haven't had a lender call me. I'm like, what? But
Yeah.
I know as an agent, a lender never called me. So
Right.
I knew that was to be important to me as an agent, that if I would know it closed without having to wonder 2 days before it would close, call title, hey, are we closing? Like, I never knew, I never got any updates. So that's why everything I learned as an agent, I implemented at the branch.
Mhm.
Just because that's why the majority of our agents use us, is because of the communication, the availability, and taking care of their clients above everything else.
Well, I mean, I can speak to that. I mean, on the listing that I had, right? That, oh my God, I don't even want to spend any more energy on it. But I even called, because I never got a call from the lender. So I called the lender, and then they said, oh, I can't talk to you. I can't answer your question. I was like, what do you mean you can't answer my question? Like, you're supposed to be able to answer my question. They were like, no, you got to go talk to the agent, because the agent is the only one I can communicate with. I was like, I've never heard that from a lender. And then she hung up. Didn't even, she was like, no, you got to call your agent. Click.
And that was a bad deal, because you were duped on
Yeah.
that whole deal. They
Yeah.
didn't
Switched
tell
3
you,
times.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
they didn't tell you anything, so that's a red flag right there.
But that's just crazy that it happens. And coming into it, I would have never thought, oh, that actually happens. But you see that stuff in movies, you know, and shows,
Mhm.
right? Like $1 Million Listing, you see where they switch all this other stuff, and then, oh, well, I can't call you, which in that realm I understand, because you're dealing with a lot of different things, a lot of moving pieces.
But it's not like you're asking for their social security number, or their income,
Right.
you just want to know if they were approved and what loan they were using.
Yeah. And then
Are they approved? I can't tell you.
right, yeah. And that's
Did
something
they
that-
talk to you? I can't tell you.
Right, and that's something I found crazy.
Mhm.
I mean, just wild, because I know y'all call whenever we put buyers in, you will actually call the listing agent
Mhm.
yourself. You don't wait for them.
Mhm.
Because I always put in my emails when I CC you, right? Like, hey, you can call my lender and check on them, 21-day flyer or whatever, but I know that y'all actually reach out to them.
Yep.
So I thought it was just crazy on that one.
A lot of people are like, how are you closing in 21 days? I'm like, how am I not? It's very easy.
Well, the longest piece is what, the appraisal, right? I
Yeah.
guess. Even still, is it still taking like a long time to
No.
get appraisals back?
It hasn't taken a long time since I've been guaranteeing the 21-day close. Like, I'm not gonna guarantee anything I have to pay money on. I mean, that's just common sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and listing agents will get the 21-day pre-approval letter and the 21-day flyer saying that if I don't close in 21 days through my fault, we'll pay $250 a day for 10 days, no problem. And a lot of times our offers get accepted because of that, and I call the listing agent, she's like, I can't believe you can close that quick. I'm like, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Like the one to close today, we had a 7-day clear to close with a VA loan. And we waited because they're in Japan, they fly in on the 6th of November,
Mhm.
and they wanted to close today, so we had to, send documents, they're in the Air Force, send documents to them, they took it to the base legal to get notarized yesterday, because yesterday was really the first today. And so they signed the documents and everything, and we'll fund on the 3rd. But they were going to close in 7 days, we still had 31 days left till the contract. But they didn't want to make their first payment till January, so that's why we closed November 1.
Right.
So it all
Makes sense.
lines up to what they needed, and the buyer's agent, she's a KW agent, she's fantastic. Or, I'm sorry, listing agent, buyer's agency XP. But the listing agent was very, very good. She even gave me props. She's like, I've never had anything like conditions. The conditional approval was done in 3 days. After the contract, now it didn't take 3 days, we got the contract, put it into processing, sent it to underwriting. So in 3 days, there was a conditional approval with no conditions, just the appraisal and title work.
For a VA, that's crazy.
Yep.
That's wild.
So I was like, okay, cool. And so then we got the appraisal, title work, clear to close in 7 days, and then we just waited. And the agent's like, is there anything we should be doing? I'm like, no.
No.
Just chilling. Good.
Just wait.
Well, that was like our first deal.
Yep.
When y'all told me close in 21 days, I was like, okay, let's go ahead, let's do this. Let's get this done. Well, we ended up closing the VA in 19 days,
Mhm.
and that was like no sweat. And I was like, the fuck.
Yeah.
I remember you called me like, hey, anything going on? I'm like, no, we're good. Okay, anything I should do? No, we're good.
I know for the last 9 days.
But it's
Yeah.
all our process though.
Yeah,
It's
that's
all
just
our
how you do it.
pre-approval
That's just-
process.
Yeah, and that's
We
just how you
don't,
do it.
yeah, we don't issue a pre-approval letter unless we have everything.
Mhm.
So then when we get the contract, the file is already built, because I make them structure the file, all we're waiting for is an address. That's it.
Mhm.
So we put the address in, send it to processing, we already have everything. The only thing we're usually waiting on is earnest money, proof that earnest money is cleared the bank account, the appraisal, and the title work. That's why we don't have to keep asking for bank statements, pay stubs, because once we get the underwriter conditional approval, we don't need any of the other stuff, because it's good for 60 days. So,
Mhm.
and I guarantee a 21-day close. That's why I do it, because it's efficient.
Right.
Like, it prevents 7 weeks of, hey, Thursday update, nothing to say, here you go, blah, blah, blah. So that's why we do things so fast, because we can turn them quickly, but still provide good customer service.
Do you think you do that because you were in the military
Mhm.
and you had to wait a long time for a lot of stuff?
Yeah, and, well, and then the whole degree in efficiency.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe that too.
Yeah. And I have no patience, so I can do too.
Yeah.
That could be it.
So no, because my dad was in the Air Force
Was he?
and my grandpa was in the Army. So I understand the whole military thing,
Mhm.
and because even I hate going to the doctor, just in general, but then going on base to go to the doctor, I'm like, dude, do I have to? Because, okay, your appointment's at 12:30,
Yeah,
but then you have to get there 15 minutes early. Okay, so then you're there 12:10, but then you're not going to get seen until like 1:30.
yep.
What?
But then if you have to get medicine, then you have to go and
To
then
the
wait,
pharmacy and wait, yep.
and then you have to wait like another hour to get your medicine, and then you leave.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's really like a 2-3 hour process when your appointment's really only like 10-15 minutes. So the doctor will come in, hey, so what's wrong? Oh, I'm feeling this. Okay, I'll prescribe you this. Okay, yeah, go. But then you're still waiting for those full 2 hours. So to her point, it's not efficient at all.
Yeah.
So I can tell when she said she was in the Air Force and then her whole process of explaining everything, it makes sense because of course her degree, but then, dude, I cannot stand going to the doctor if I have to go on base. Like, I cannot do it.
Yeah.
So your whole process, it makes complete sense to me. Like, I understand.
Well, is that why you got the degree? Or did you get the degree before military?
No, I got the degree during.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
why you kind of did it? Or what was
I
the
don't know.
thought? You
I had no
just-
clue.
You were just like, I'm just going to
Yeah,
pick
well,
this
it was
one.
when, like, green belt, black belt, Lean Six Sigma, when all that was really popular.
Mm.
And so I was like, oh, I'll just get a degree in this. I didn't know what I was getting. I got my bachelor's degree in tech management from Embry-Riddle. Again, all these degrees are paid for by the government. So I have 4 associates, a bachelor's, and a master's. I'm very educated, but I don't
Oh,
use
shit.
anything. And so, got my bachelor's degree. I was like, well, what am I going to do now? It's only 12 classes for my master's. Let me see what I can do there. So then I got this master's degree, and I'm just like, okay, what am I doing? Oh, I got my real estate license. Oh, great. Now I got my lending license. Oh, good. Now I'm like, what the hell?
But after this, you're retired. You're done.
Yes, yes. I just
If
could
you've
never-
seen her house, you
I just could
want to be
never be,
retired too.
Yeah, never satisfied.
Is your house here?
No, we're gonna build in South Carolina.
Why so far?
Because it's a 55 and older community, and it's basically day camp for seniors.
Nice.
So all you do all day long is like kayak and ride a bike and play bocce ball and pickleball and all that. That's your job.
Bocce ball? What is bocce ball?
Throw balls.
And have alligators as pets.
Not as fast, but they do come in the front door.
In South Carolina?
That's at the front door.
It's like by a swamp or...
By the ocean. It's by Hilton Head, South Carolina.
And alligators just walk up to...
I was gonna say I'd come for the holidays. But
Thank
you. I am okay.
Yeah.
I've only seen one alligator in person, and it was about this big. And I was like, that has a lot of teeth, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine. Like, I mean, there's what 20-foot ones, right?
Oh yeah, I think the biggest one there is like 14 feet. I show the pictures all the time
All
on
the
the
time.
Facebook page. Like yesterday, there was one that went up to somebody's front door. It was like they were there for Halloween candy. They're like, hello.
Oh no. So you can't have any dogs or anything.
Yeah, just
Okay.
they have to stay inside. Like you can't have an outdoor dog.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
But you go everywhere. Like there's 6 pools. There's 3 golf courses. There's
3 golf courses in the community.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So
it's
it's
really
huge.
nice. Yeah.
Mhm.
There's 15,000 residents.
So it's basically a city.
Yeah. It's almost like living on a base.
We'll show you.
Wow.
You would want to
So-
retire too.
And then you can like drive your golf cart to Starbucks, you can go to the grocery store on your golf cart, all that stuff, yeah. So it's like basically
All of
fun.
it,
But a
wow.
lot of people have to work till they're 65, 70 to do that.
Yeah.
I'm 50 now. If I can do it soon, I do it sooner than later so I can enjoy it longer. Because if I wait till I'm 70, well then how many more good years do I have left?
Yeah.
So
Right.
if you can do it, do it. That's why I always tell, like last week I was at the Air Force Recruiting School
Mhm.
talking to the new recruiters because a lot of people don't know what you can do with the skills we learn in the military in the real world and with recruiting and sales. And so I asked them all, I said, did you guys understand that when you became a recruiter, you just became an entrepreneur that's a guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks? And they're like, no. I'm like, the skills you're gonna learn if you just do recruiting for 4 years, I promise you that 5 years after you separate or retire from the military, you could be a millionaire. If you take those skills that you learn and hustle.
Mhm.
But if you take those skills and you don't do anything with them, well, then you're gonna be capped at, so if they take the 4 years of initial recruiting experience, because that's what you have to do as the first recruiter, and then they hone those skills with training, marketing, not being afraid to talk to people, because a lot of people don't like to talk to people, but every opportunity, every conversation is an opportunity, every conversation. Like with these guys, when they first are new, I make them buy, well, yeah, I make you buy $40 of $1 scratch-offs, and they put their business card, scratch-off, and a penny in a little baggie that I give them.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times, people don't like to hand business cards because they think that they're intruding. But if you give somebody a scratch-off, they're like, holy crap, how many times have you been handed a scratch-off? Never. But it opens up the door. What a new loan officer, well, she never had a problem talking to people, other people have. But a new loan officer that's not used to handing out business cards, they don't realize that the scratch-off's not the value, the business card is, because you're giving somebody the opportunity to achieve the American dream of home ownership.
Mhm.
You just have to understand that that's what you're doing and believe in it. If you don't
Right.
believe in your product, you're never gonna be a good salesman.
Mhm.
So it's all believing that you're giving somebody a hand up. And you just have to mentally break the ice by that damn scratch off.
Yeah.
But instead of just handing out the scratch off. Like business cards for a realtor, I was handing out 10 a day. Every time we went to lunch, I put it in the freaking check thingy.
Yeah. Mhm.
I don't care. If I go to the same Walmart lady every morning, she'd get the same damn business card because again, I'm just doing it. It just becomes second nature. And so that's why I impress upon my guys and even my SkillBridge people, they get business cards to hand them out because weeks 3 through 5 is about networking, meeting people, getting out, introducing yourself because a lot of people aren't used to that.
Mhm.
If they can't do that weeks 3 through 5, then they have no business being in this type of position.
Right.
Just because you have to sell and talk to people. And if you're awkward, not gonna work.
Yeah, that's not gonna work for you.
No.
So is that kind of what you build the foundation for people on when they get trained? Is
Mhm.
like the networking, able to go out and
Yep.
talk to people and do these things?
Yep, the first 2 weeks is all about email and phone etiquette, the life of a loan. If they've never bought a house, they need to understand the process, because some people have never bought a house.
Mhm.
And just getting comfortable with the loan software we have and the different types of loans we offer. And then weeks 3 through 5 is really the push comes to shove, go out and market yourself.
Yeah.
And if they can't market themselves, then we don't waste any time.
Mhm.
Because I invest a lot of time into somebody. If there's no return on my investment, it's not a good investment.
Yeah.
Right.
So if we can nip that in the bud right away and realize, hey, this isn't it, they can quit the SkillBridge program and find another program in SkillBridge to do.
Mhm.
They don't have to do mine, because they're
Right.
guaranteed for a certain amount of time to do SkillBridge. So I'd like to discover that early,
Mhm.
but I can't have them go out to talk to people if they don't know anything about a loan, like that's
Right, you
weird.
have to educate
So
first.
we give them enough education to be dangerous, and then we see, can you go out and hand out business cards? And a lot of people can't.
Mhm. So how many people in total have you had in your SkillBridge in total, and then compared to how many people you've actually had on for the
None.
whole thing?
None.
None.
Zero.
None made it through.
Wow.
None of them can do weeks
Is
4
it,
and 5?
I would say, is it the week 3 through 5?
Yes, they're awkward.
Huh.
And a lot of times they're not used to commission. So a lot of them are scared. Because when you retire from the military, you have one whole month you don't get a paycheck. So if you haven't been, and again, it's how their bases set them up, different branches are different setups about getting prepared to retire or separate. So a lot of times it's the whole commission thing, the unknown. And when I get all these new guys, I don't have to go out and do this stuff. Should I? I probably could, but am I trying to hustle? No, not really. I just have my agents. I've earned them though. I did work hard when I first became a loan officer.
Right.
When they come in and they see me just sit there and agents send me deals, they're like, well,
Why
I'm
can't
like,
I do
yeah,
that?
but you didn't see me struggling. Like you haven't seen
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah.
So the fear of the commission, a lot of them can't do it just because they don't know.
Well, we actually had one tell us that he thought he was gonna come in and that they were just gonna walk into the office.
Yeah, he thought we were
People
like USA.
truly don't understand what a mortgage
mortgage
lender
is.
does.
Yeah.
Even though they've had mortgages in their life, all they did was call in and it was USA or Wells Fargo. Well, yeah,
banks.
I mean, you have a Rolodex of clients. No realtor really sends them to there, really, unless they
Mhm.
participate in that, here, I'll give you a lead program. But they don't understand what mortgage is. We're not a bank.
Mhm.
We actually have to go out and sell. And no matter how many times I tell them, how many times I put that in an email, I mean, because I'm pretty transparent,
Yeah.
they still don't get it. And so it's like, well,
They don't get it until they do it.
yeah, and they're like, man, I thought I was just gonna sit at a desk, and I was like, no.
You gotta be out in the field.
You gotta talk to people, can't just stand in the corner, because no agent's gonna talk to you, they're like, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah. And then you're kind of selling yourself to two people as a lender. You're selling to the agents and the actual clients
Mhm.
too. Whereas for realtors, I mean, it's even hard for realtors to go out and door knock and do open houses and go meet people. And all we're doing is selling ourselves to the client.
Mhm.
Like that's it. We're just talking to one, but you guys have to work on the agents and the buyers.
Mhm.
So you have two different lanes that you kind of got to sit in too.
Yeah,
And then if I have a client who's really relaxed, I'm very much forward, like let's go, whatever the fuck we gotta do, get it done. If I have a client that's very relaxed and just like, whatever, now you have to you have to kind of taper it to me and them at the same time.
right,
Which is also hard for a lot of people to do.
yeah,
But you have to know how to at least navigate both, I guess, the disc profiles, right?
Yeah.
The emotional sides. You know, you have to at least navigate all of that stuff. That's also hard, I feel like.
yeah,
Because it's hard for me as a realtor to just navigate from one client to the next. But for you, y'all have to navigate with us and them at the same time.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's a skill, like what you said earlier. Like some people are just naturally good at doing that.
Mhm.
So I know a lot of people gravitate towards me, and so I'm relatable. I can talk to whoever. Me personally, I'd much rather just be at home and just chill. Like I don't really want to talk to people, but I know it's easy for me to do it, so I can go out, I can talk to whoever. So when we go to networking events, I can go, like how you said, quality over quantity.
Mhm.
You can go out and talk to 1,000 people, get 10 people. I can go talk to 10, get 10. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, it's a skill, like she said. So I think she had a skill, and then she kind of perfected it with her process.
Yeah, and then
So-
capitalized on it.
Exactly. So she kind of like double dipped on everything. And she's a realtor and a lender.
Yeah, she knows.
So yeah, you.
She was
you did
getting
great.
She's
you were
a
getting a
deep.
pure paycheck, getting the commission, and you were gaining like the future that you
Yeah.
kind of wanted anyway,
Yeah.
all in one.
and it's difficult because I'm only D on the disc profile, there's no anything else, it's just straight D. But
That
I don't.
explains a lot. That
Yeah.
actually explains a lot.
Oh, yeah, just straight D. This is how you're
There's
gonna do
no
it.
fluff.
No.
No fluff.
But a lot of times, clients will call me like, hey, so we're first-time home buyers. I'm like, perfect. I love first-time home buyers because I can educate you. And they're like, that's all we want, you know, because they don't want somebody that's a fast talker or not to be able to explain things. But I think that it helps me because there is no fluff. I don't enjoy small talk. My RBF face is very, very strong. So network events, I'm just like,
Well, I don't know. We went to one at a.
Bar
Well, I
house?
came to one, yeah, and then we were all there.
Yeah.
It seemed pretty relaxed.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it was.
But I knew
us
everybody.
networking, yeah.
Like if I was going to go out to meet new people, because I regret that as a realtor, I never went to any networking events because I'm like, this is my competition. Why do I want to meet them? That makes no sense to me. Well, then I'm kicking myself in the ass because I could have met a lot more realtors than I knew. But yeah, my we go to networking events. I'm just like,
One drink.
I'm like-
they could see you.
how much more?
I'm like, do you want to
45 more minutes. Mm.
She's a good time. She's a good time. You just gotta let her loosen up. She's a good time.
Yeah.
We have a great time at the office.
We do. I've never laughed so hard in my life. We
Well,
laugh.
you also share office with this one.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do. Yes, the things daily that she comes out of her mouth are just amazing. Amazing.
And you wouldn't have it any other way, huh?
No, she definitely brings a different vibe. That's for sure.
Well, there's definitely two different vibes,
Yeah.
but I can see how it could match.
Yeah, I
You
definitely
know
see
how
that
it meshes
meshes.
and kind of.
Oh, yeah.
It's just funny because I think like we take care of our business, right? Like we get shit done, right? Like hers, like oh, what makes y'all different? Well, we get shit done, right? We never not had a loan close. Like it's gonna close, but we also just like have a personality where we don't really take other things that seriously, where we could just kind of laugh at ourselves because I mean mortgage is already hard. Like why
Why
add
make
the
it harder?
extraness? Like we come.
Yeah.
And I know when it's time to do business, but then I know that, you know, I respect her enough as my boss to where I know like that is my boss. But there's also that open line communication where I know that I can talk to her about certain things and we can joke and laugh. And, you know, I probably spend more time with her than anybody else, you know, so we do have a really solid relationship. And that's, you know, why we are successful at the office is because, you know, we take care of business, but we also genuinely do trust each other.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's always good to have though. You have to have that on a team. If there's no trust, then there's nothing there.
And we always eat lunch together.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Not mandatory, but everybody usually eats together because I think that if you share a meal with somebody every day, you learn a lot about what's going on in their personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of people are too, sometimes it hurts us because we're all friends, so it's kind of hard sometimes, because the boundaries get blurred. But a lot of times, if we don't eat, you know, have a meal with somebody or like understand what's going on in their personal life, then sometimes when they say stuff, you don't know what place it's coming from.
Yeah.
So if you don't know if they're having problems and then you react to that right there, that
Mhm.
tone, well, if you don't know the person, then you're always gonna be reactive.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm too
but-
old for this BS.
But again, like she's always worked with like a lot of men. This is her first time working like with,
Oh, God,
you know, a
yes.
lot of females. I come in, I'm crying one day, mad the other day, sad the other day, happy the other day. Hey, but all my shit gets done, I guarantee you that. I may be crying as I'm doing it, but this gets done.
Yeah, I've never, ever had so many females. Very difficult for me.
I was gonna ask, how do you like it?
Very difficult. Very difficult. I'm just not used to the different moods.
Yeah.
That's very difficult for me because I'm just like, but she's great because she's the only civilian we have on staff. Everybody else either is from the military or currently in. But she rolls with the punches. She's earned her status with us because I'm not the easiest person because again, I'm very direct. There's no fluff. If I tell you to do something, I expect you to do it. I shouldn't have to follow up.
Right.
I just don't believe that.
I also got spanked as a child, so so she's it's fine. I'm used to it.
Yeah, but some people can't take that. They want the delivery to be softer.
Mhm.
I'm not made that way.
Right.
I deliver like I deliver.
Yeah.
But it's never malicious or vengeful or spiteful. It's just, hey, you need to do this, this, and this.
Yep.
If my delivery is what hangs you up, then you don't even need to show up. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Don't even be here.
no, because it's not, it's just trying to make everybody better. And at the end of the day, that family is the most important that we're
Right.
putting in the house. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
So-
exactly.
Yeah, and one delivery or a couple of delivery out of everything that she invested into us as far as mentorship and, you know, training shouldn't override like something that she said, hey, this is this. I'm like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, that's all I have. I don't know if you have any other questions for
You answered all my questions and more.
And this, yeah. So, any realtors who don't have a lender, we're gonna go ahead and give y'all to Haley, so that Haley can have you as a realtor partner,
Mhm.
right? Because as you can see, they get their shit done. You know?
Yep.
So I always try and put other realtors with you guys because
Mhm.
I know firsthand you get shit done. But now everybody knows the process. So, you know, is there anything else you kind of want to say to anybody listening? Doesn't matter what it is. It can be anything.
Even if you don't use us and you have questions, just ask. Like, we don't only help the agents that use us all the time.
Yeah.
We'll help everybody, because at the end of the day, all we care about is those families getting into houses.
Yeah.
Because there's enough to eat. Everybody can be fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
Anything you want to say?
Go Cowboys? No?
Go
One.
Cowboys.
Oh.
We're ending that, yeah. But on a serious note, I'll have both of their contact information down in the description below for you guys. You'll also have mine and Anthony's as well. Just if you have any questions about real estate, you can always ask any three of us. And then just entrepreneurship in general, you can ask any of us in here. So I'll have all the numbers, the actual numbers, and the emails, if that's okay with y'all too, so that you guys can reach out to them. Realtor, not realtor, entrepreneur, business owner, whatever it is, feel free to reach out whenever, and then we'll see you guys next time. Hope y'all got some fire from it. So, yeah, we'll see y'all in the next one.